Hello, welcome to this kind of midweek live stream. So I'm going to talk today about some warm-ups and things, but take your questions and take a listen to your comments and things like that. But I'll do a little playing here as we start out, and folks welcome and encouraged to leave a comment. So just mute my mic and play a little bit, and then we'll get started. All right, everybody. So one thing I think is really pretty beneficial on guitar is to try to understand a bit about the range of the instrument. You know, the low and high sort of tones. And if you look at a piano, it's very clear. It's linear. It left is lower, high is to the right, and so we can tend to struggle with that a little bit on the guitar. And you can even try to think about 6 different voices on the guitar that are very much linear. I mean, they are a line, right? From low, going up higher. So when you're playing a melody, you kind of probably want to have sort of a consistency in the tone, right? So it might seem a little counter to that to think about individual voices, but you can think about another string as just sort of taking over that line, and of course they're all going to sound pretty similar. So in the short I did yesterday, we had a chromatic scale. So the biggest issue, I would say, is going from one string to another, because otherwise, this is just clearly getting a little bit higher each time. But when you cross over strings, you want to know what the next note is gonna be. So I'm talking about chromatic scales here. So this note is also here. So you could play this like that, or so crossing over that string and knowing, especially knowing intervals that happen quite a lot, like a half step or a whole step, knowing where that half step is in this case. So when you get up to C here, when you go to the next string, you want to have that awareness of where that next note is going. All right. So just want to double check a couple little things, but So I'm streaming on a few different platforms. I'm streaming on x.com and Instagram and Facebook, as well as YouTube. And so if you're on any of those platforms and that's your preferred area, you might check me out there. Okay. Right. So in the short, I went through two octaves. You could try this in one octave, as well, and try that, and that would be very beneficial as well. Originally, I was going to do 3 total octaves, but then I thought, well, maybe that would be a little bit hard to manage for folks. So I kind of put it sort of in the middle there, but I may do some on 3 octaves, because that's where you really can get into the whole range of the instrument. So if we take, E as our lowest note, on the opposite extreme, whatever your guitar goes to, it's going to be the very last fret on string 1. So as a general concept, if you can, make your way down chromatically and kind of reliably get to the next half tone, half step, then you kind of get an idea of the path of the guitar, so that you're not only working in position and going in this direction, but also able to move horizontally, moving around. Watching some greats on recorded video of Wes Montgomery, for example. It kind of made an impression on me that the motion was a lot in this horizontal direction, and so up to that point, I think, or maybe a little earlier in my own development, it was kind of like you did a position, right, and worked at that, and that's all great, but to really kind of free things up and move around the neck, I think, is important. But you want to, I would say, kind of master both of those things. Be able to play some changes within a fret or two, and also to be able to move freely from left to right. All right, and thanks for joining here. Appreciate it. So, best way to memorize a scale, actually stuck in C. Well, C is a great place to start, absolutely. If you know the C major scale, if you know it real well, then you've got the overall shapes, and then you can also understand sharps and flats really well. So I would say you're in a pretty good place. Actually planning a bit of a video on the circle of fifths, and talking a little bit about scales and key signatures. But for now, if you've got a C major scale, try to take it up a half step. So that's one real easy-ish thing about our instrument, the guitar, is that it's pretty easy to transpose left and right. So you can take the C major scale and move it on the same strings to different positions. So that that would be a really great place to start with all that. But identify the notes, right? So is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Here we go. D flat, E flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, C, D flat, right? And then try to, kind of work with that. So uh, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. Know the shape, but can't remember the notes. Yeah, what I would do there in that case is work on sight reading in different keys. There are some apps out there like Sight Reading Factory. I'm sure there are others where you can just practice. You can put it in a key and just practice it, and I think it does some random things as well. So I would check that out and get into reading. I think reading music is probably one of the quickest, easiest ways to learn the notes on the guitar. Find notes and play them, throughout the neck. Um, memorize all the notes. Yeah, memorize all the notes. Well, know where C is all over the neck. You're welcome. All right, so let's mention a quick like and subscribe. Turn on notifications. And I'll mention too, private lessons are a really great way to accelerate um, your learning process. And one really strong way, one really strong thing about it is if somebody's watching you and listening to you, they're gonna be able to really quickly point things out, and you may end up practicing um, wrongly for a long time and kind of struggle through the weeds. So I'll just mention that I am still offering private lessons as well, but I would recommend any teacher that you think would be a good fit for you to set something up and even if you take a single lesson, that's going to be a benefit. But regular weekly lessons have been a tradition for hundreds of years. Um, so I'd recommend getting with someone regularly as well. All right, well, I'm going to mute my mic, maybe play a little bit here, and welcome your comments and questions. Looks like, I don't know if the video got skewed on x.com, but maybe I didn't set things up correctly. Yeah, it looks like that is. It's probably too late to rework that, but I'll have to go review that. And I says, that's what I feel I have to learn for quite long on my own. I need a good teacher. It's not that also I'm that weak, just need a way to improve. Yeah. I would say one of the things about the internet and learning guitar on YouTube it has a lot of really great strengths because there's a ton of information out there. But I will give you kind of a word of warning. I had a student who learned like 5 years on YouTube before he ever took a lesson with me. And the technique was just um, really hard for him. And nobody ever watched him and told him, hey, no, you need to put your hand like this. You need to have your finger like this. Um, and those kinds of things. So if you're reinforcing, bad habits and nobody's watching you, it's it's really hard to break those and change up your playing. Okay, Edithal, thanks for writing in. Been trying to learn the harmonic minor scale. Absolutely, yeah. So harmonic minor, that's great. So um, yeah, try to work with all the modes of that. The um, one in particular would be the Phrygian dominant to really try to focus most of your efforts on. Okay. All right. Ben, thanks for writing in. Thanks for watching. Hey, Arnold, not familiar with that. Thanks for writing in. Okay. Minor scale. What's the difference between the minor and the harmonic minor? Minor and the harmonic minor. Yeah, I think this is one area where you need to think about tonality and then tools, to work with tonality and kind of musical problems. So you can have a tune that's in a minor key, um, and it can use notes outside of that. And one of those notes in particular is going to be the seventh tone of whatever minor key you're in. So if you're in the key of A minor, one issue that comes up with the key signature is that you have a G natural, and then if you try to build a 5 chord on it, it doesn't really do anything to resolve the sound towards the tonic. So harmonic minor will help you solve that issue. So you raise the G to a G sharp, and all of a sudden now you have a dominant 7th chord, and it resolves to that. So that's a really great way, I would say, to really start to frame your perception, which is tonal center, and then scales that either fit that or are outside of that, and what are they doing? What is the purpose? What is the purpose of that? So melodic minor as well. It also solves the kind of the same issue, but it just has a slightly different kind of flavor to it. But various modes of harmonic minor and melodic minor and harmonic major can solve certain musical kinds of issues and problems that arise that just don't fit into the key center that you're in. And then you can also distinguish between moments of functional harmony and non-functional harmony, and also modal music. So all of these areas, so you want to make sure you're thinking in context of some of that. So, okay. I got a request for rock here. Thank you for writing in. Appreciate it. Jazz Forever, cool. Request for Freebird. Never heard that request before. All right. You might like the music for the soundtrack TV cartoon. Hey Arnold, I'll check that out for sure. Good morning, Jeffrey. Good to see you again. Appreciate you dropping by. I'll mention too, in the news here, and at least in the kind of jazz world, Roy Haynes just passed away. I think it was yesterday. Check him out if you haven't already. Recorded with tons of the greats. He is was a great himself. Great drummer. You might check one of my real big videos here, or most watched videos, is Cantaloupe Island, and there's a great performance of him with Pat Metheny. So check that out as well. So all right, I'm not sure the tune you're mentioning there, but I'll have to look that one up. Midnight Stars, I'll have to check that out. But Not sure I know that one. Oh, Canon and D. I don't know. I don't know that I'm going to do that right at this very moment, but who knows? Maybe I'll try to get into that at some point. I've taught that to classical guitar students, and I do have a classical guitar channel, but it's kind of in the works. There's just a few videos on there, but yeah, I'll have to work out a Canon and D. I'll see if I can find an arrangement. It's a good suggestion. Appreciate it. All right, everybody. Well, I'm going to hang out for another about 5 minutes or so. I really do appreciate your joining me. My thoughts on saxophones. Well, I can tell you some of my favorite players are or have been saxophone players. So I do like saxophone. I like, obviously, I guess I like the tone of the guitar best. But that feels like kind of my voice, or what I want to hear, what I want to play. But Chris Potter, love Chris Potter. I listen to him when I can, and but Michael Brecker, just going back, there's just probably too many to name right now, but yeah, I do like saxophone players. How many scales do you really need to know, and what are they? That's a good question. Appreciate it. So, scales, anything above 4 notes, you can categorize into a scale, right? So they're pentatonic scales. So I would recommend knowing pentatonic scales. So know the kind of basic minor major type ones. So you got just like major and minor scales, you have the relative minor and you have the relative major. And then so I would focus on these different numbers of notes, and then you have what you might call the minor 6 pentatonic, or and then modes of these, so like dominant pentatonic. So and then you can always alter them. I'm going to keep going on that subject, but I just want to get to another question. What age did you start playing guitar? I was probably somewhere from 13 to 15. I don't remember the exact number, but I had played keyboard since a young age, and so I was involved with music prior to that, and also in choirs and things. So then you get into six notes type scales, like blues, whole tone, and kind of augment. So you get whole tone scale. You get right. You get the half step, minor third interval. Please, Michael Jackson, beat it. The solo. Yeah, I would have to work on that for quite a long time. And to just get the tone of that too. That was Eddie Van Halen, right? Who played the solo on that, and I believe Steve Lukather played the main riff, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so maybe maybe like 3. So I would say pentatonic scales. You should also have maybe at least two types of pentatonic scales and the modes of them, and then you know at least two or three of the 6-note type scales, and 7-note scales. There are four basic ones I would focus on: the major, harmonic major, melodic minor, and the harmonic minor. And then then think about 8-note scales. 8-note scales like the half whole or the whole half. Those are kind of modes of the same thing. And then bebop type things, which you could think of more. I would tend to think of that more as a conceptual sort of addition to the 7-note type scales. You kind of add a passing tone in there. So the exact number, you can think about the scales themselves as parents, and then you've got to multiply that by all the modes. So it depends on the number of notes, and so I'm not sure the exact calculation there, but I guess five times, if you did two different types of scales, so 5 times the 2, so you have to do each mode, and then add 6 times 2 maybe, and 7 times 4, and then the 8-note scale. So I'm not sure the exact number, but thanks for your question. That is a really interesting topic. But you also want to think about the interconnectedness of all of those kind of levels of notes. Like, for example, the blues, minor type blues. You're really just kind of taking a note in between two of the pentatonic notes, right? So you can think of it kind of conceptually like that. And try to think about if you're getting kind of your scales together, like I was talking about with the notes on one string. Try it on one string, and you want to try to think about it like a movie theater, right? With all the chairs, Let's say, as just kind of thought experiment, nobody knows each other in this imagined theater, and they're all going to this movie. Everybody's gonna sit apart from each other. Most people will, and there's gonna be kind of evenish space. So the more crowded it gets, the more all the seats will be people sitting right next to each other. But it's highly unlikely that you have a theater with, I don't know, 50 seats, and you have 10 people entering it, and they don't know each other. They're not going to all sit at 10 adjacent seats, So try to think about the scales like that. Everything's just sitting as far apart as they can get from one another, right? So if you have a E minor pentatonic, then everything, all these notes are just like, stay away, I don't know. That might be something to think about. All right. Okay, everybody. Well, thanks so much for checking this out. I appreciate stopping by. Thanks for all your questions and comments. Last minute question here from Ben. Jazz songs would you recommend? Who are new to it? Well, Autumn Leaves, be a good one. Do some short form type tunes like Blue Bossa. Learn some blues like Blue Monk. Start with simple-ish kind of things. Start with blues type things. Maybe do like a minor blues like Mr. PC or something. All right. Thank you for taking the question. Are backing tracks helpful for improvement? Yeah, I would highly recommend using backing tracks, and this is one theme that I want to really get across on the channel is you really have to hear harmony. You have to hear these scales in context to a sound. So either play it on your own instrument, maybe loop it, or use a backing track. But you don't want to exclusively use backing tracks because you don't want to lean on the backing track. So try to be able to play through changes and stuff and play your own time without the backing track as well. But they can be really helpful for getting things into context of harmony and form. Um, double stops on a jazz track. Well, double stops. The major thirds and the minor thirds would be good places to start. That if you think about like some of the George Benson kind of things, he'll use fourths and things. So that would be a good way to go too. All right, everybody. Well, thanks so much for joining me today. I have to get going here, but thanks again, and remember to like and subscribe. I've also been starting a program for question and answer. So if you want to meet face to face, and jazz workshop as well, you can find that on my website, fretprints.com. You can find links to that and sign up easily. All right. Sorry, everybody. Have a great day. I'll just noodle a tiny bit. I'm going to mute my mic. All right, well, there's a quick little something. All right, everybody gotta go. I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks so much.